Alright, so today we're taking a look at a cool pedal made by Caline. This is the High Chief Overdrive pedal, also known as the CP-70. It retails for under $100 depending on where you buy it. A lot of people have asked me to take a look at these more affordable pedals to see what they can do. So today we're going to be putting it through its paces and we're going to be checking out the sounds. It's a double function pedal. You can tell by the two switches. Left and right switches here, and basically you could think of it as two pedals in one. Some people like that, some people don't, depending on the size of your pedal board. So I'm going to be plugging into my Tokai with humbuckers that I have here. We're going to be going into my Marshall Studio Plexi 412 cabinet, and we're going to be miking it up with a ribbon mic. Let's listen to the clean amp. The Marshall always has a little bit of hair, so it's never perfectly clean, but you get the drift. So let's try and turn the pedal on and find unity gain first. So unity gain would be around there. Or so. All right, so let's go and listen to the sweep of the drive. We'll leave everything on pretty much noon for the tone, and the drive, we'll put it all the way down. So if we turn it off, turn it back on all the way down, you can see it darkens up the sound when the drive is actually all the way down. And when it's off, so the drive actually affects the treble, right? The brightness of the pedal. So that's interesting. So let's halfway up. So it definitely seems to brighten up the sound when I turn the drive up. So let's compensate it with the tone. Let me switch the drive down a little bit. So the tone all the way off. All the way up. And halfway. So between the lowest point on the tone, not bad, not too dark, it's usable. If I turn it all the way up, it's definitely bright, almost on the verge of like being too bright for this amp. But if we turn down the drive, so I would say the sweet spot for this amp would probably be about here. Maybe even a little bit too bright. So maybe dial the tone. Maybe around there. definitely has some crunch. You bring it down. The way it's set up now, if you bring the drive down to like the 9 o'clock point, I don't feel it's quite usable unless we bring up the tone quite a bit actually. But if we dial up the drive, so the interesting part of this pedal is the fact that the drive and the tone kind of work with each other. The drive will definitely darken the tone if you bring it down. If you bring it up, it brightens the tone. So you have to almost play with the drive and the tone at the same time to get the sound that you want. Otherwise, it'll probably be off balance there. So let's leave it at about that. Definitely crunchy there. So let's see what the other half of this pedal does. Just let's turn off the left side completely. So basically, if we leave everything at about the halfway point, it's basically unity with what you're hearing with the amplifier, more or less, give or take. Even though I think it loses a bit of bottom end. The tone basically gives you more treble, doesn't really introduce more bottom end. That's about as close as I'm going to get to unity with the amplifier. All right, let's turn on the left side and see what it does together. So right now, I don't see a whole lot of difference when I turn off the right side. Except for more clarity. So it seems like we can actually dial in a little bit more clarity with this side. So it's more of a subtractive kind of thing here. All right, I kind of almost like the drive a little bit more with just the left side on. my opinion, after trying this pedal for a little bit, I do think that it works better with humbuckers than it does with single coils, at least through the gear that I'm playing through. So you might get different results depending on your amplifier and guitar configuration. I think overall these pedals that are quite affordable are a nice addition to any kind of pedal board that you might be putting together, where you don't want to necessarily break the bank, but you do want to have some nice flexibility. The drive is not over the top. It is very usable, and if you have an amplifier that is already a little bit gainy and you just want to boost it and perhaps sculpt the sound a little more, then this pedal might be the one for you. The thing that I found a little bit tricky with this pedal is the fact that, when you would turn down the drive, it would actually, either introduce more high end or reduce the high end instead of just switching the drive, right? Affecting the drive. So I always felt that I was playing around with the drive knob and the tone knob at the same time. And then the right-hand side of the pedal, which is basically the boost side of it, was almost a little bit more like a subtractive type of thing. Like when it was full up, you were kind of getting, or close to being full up, you were kind of getting like unity with the amplifier. And then bringing it back down, you were able to shape the sound a little bit. So it is a little bit tricky to use, maybe not as intuitive as I would have expected, but still pretty usable in terms of a pedal. As I mentioned, I think this pedal works a lot better with humbuckers than it does with single coils. I found it to be a little bit too bright, maybe a little bit too harsh when using it with a Telecaster type guitar, so I feel like the humbuckers being beefier, more round and more of a darker sound worked better with this pedal. Now that being said, it also depends on what kind of amp you're running it through. So if you're running it through a darker amp, then you'll definitely be able to introduce some nice high end. The sweep on the tone knob, I felt that all the way down, it wasn't too dark that it would be unusable. And all the way up, it was sort of on the edge of being a little bit too bright. But again, it depends on the amplifier. So if you're already dealing with an amplifier that is on the bright side, you definitely want to avoid the high end of the spectrum when playing around with the tone knob. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly solution, check out the Caline High Chief or the CP-70 pedal. It might just fit your requirements and be a nice addition to your pedal board. I'd like to hear what you guys thought of the review and the sound samples. Let me know if you've already had the opportunity to try out this pedal. Perhaps you like it. Perhaps it's on your board and never will leave. Perhaps you've already tried it and sold it. But let me know what your feelings are on this pedal. I'd like to hear your comments. If you enjoy gear reviews, then you definitely want to subscribe to Addicted to Gear, because we're going to be coming to you with more gear reviews on a regular basis. I have a whole slew of other pedals that I have lined up to review, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So before you forget and get distracted with another video, hit the subscribe button or you'll be missing out, guys. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.